around 2016, 17, recognizing that the world's largest asset class, commercial real estate specifically, had really no tech ecosystem. The real estate industry, as I said, is the biggest industry on earth measured by global GDP. It invests the least in R&D and technology. So it's typically under, I think, about 1% in real estate investing in tech, and most other industries are 5 to 10%. So I think a lot of the industry in the beginning gravitated and tethered to venture dollars as a barometer of how the industry was doing. And I always felt that it was an important metric to be aware of, but it was, in many cases, it was a false one, because dollars in does not mean dollars being deployed. So while the number is staggering, I mean, even though the numbers are down now in venture funding, still when you talk about anywhere from 10 to 20 to 30 billion dollars annually coming into this ecosystem, it's extraordinary accomplishment. From, I would say, 10 years ago, that number was in the tens of millions. But it's a false barometer, because the only barometer that really matters is adoption.
Nice.
And adoption has been extraordinarily slow. And there's many reasons which we can unpack as to why. Why the real estate industry, as I said, it's always underinvested in technology and R&D. So what does that tell you? That there's not a significant infrastructure in the ecosystem. So a lot of real estate companies, they might have IT, but they don't really have innovation or technology in the C-suite. A lot of the big ones do now. So you don't have a lot of resources. Also, the nature of, there's 10,000 startups competing for very small market share, and they're still very siloed, and they don't integrate. That presents a real problem for adoption, because, again, it's very hard for a real estate company that doesn't have that infrastructure, doesn't have the track record, to now be adopting all these siloed single point solutions. The other thing is that a lot of the solutions that were created have been, they're very cool, interesting ideas. I'm rooting for everybody. It's just my Buddhist nature, but a lot of them were nice to haves, not must haves. So that's another reason why adoption has been slow making progress. And I think in a marketplace like this, where there is stress, there's dislocation, these are the times where adoption is going to scale on tech. So I have no doubt that we're entering a period of, while funding may be down, adoption's trending upwards.
Got it. And do you see this pattern of adoption across the board, across all geographies? Like you said, you are in New York and London. Is this across the board, or there are certain regions which are much more inclined to adopt technologies that are helpful?
Yeah, another really thoughtful question. I mean, for sure, in Europe, I would tell you that Europe's leading the world, the built world, in investing in sustainability and climate tech solutions, way out in front of the rest of the world, where the U.S. Is a laggard, and other parts of the world are a laggard. I think the U.S. leads in other categories, whether it's data or tenant experience, building access, other hot categories right now, AI, ML, things like that. So yeah, there are definitely parts of the industry that are doing, are scaling differently than other parts of the world. One of the things that we're starting to see now, Ravi, is it's definitely becoming more of a global marketplace. So at my London show, you're seeing a lot of startups from around the world, APAC, Latin America, throughout Europe, and definitely North America, coming to the London show, and vice versa. And we're seeing the tech companies now expanding globally. So a tech company that got its start in New York now has put a beachhead in London or other parts of the world and expanding. So we're for sure entering a period of consolidation. The startups are going to continue to scale, probably a lot of M&A, and they're going to have a global footprint, which again benefits the end user, the customers, because that's what they're looking for as well. They might not be global, but they're looking for more substantial, more integrated solutions to adopt.
Got it. Just curious, because you are at the center of the of action. You hold these big conferences where all the decision makers come in. What? So do they all wait for conferences? What is the nature of a conference which makes them change? Does the conferences brings a concentrated power to influence them and make these decisions? Why should they not be anyways making these decisions and not wait for these conferences? Because there is also a virtual world where they would be able to match make and see where the technologies are. What does a conference bring which otherwise is missing in the world?
Great. Well, yeah, I mean, for sure, if we're waiting for my conferences to really drive adoption, that's not a good sign.
Exactly.
So, no, I think every day there's, the industry, the ecosystem is connecting and integrating, and great things are happening, irrespective of what CRETECH does. I'm not so arrogant to think that they're waiting for us. I think what we do at a very high level is provide inspiration.
Got it.
So, our content is very much about getting the largest real estate companies in the world, their CEOs on stage, discussing not so much specific tech solutions, but how they are reimagining real estate, how they are decarbonizing real estate at a very macro level. So we're hoping that there's a lot of inspiration on the content. 2 days worth of just extraordinary content, more of the sort of TED Talk kind of format. There's also a trade show. So there is an opportunity for a lot of people to come and test and kick the tires, if you will, and meet with a lot of the technology providers in person, right? And I think the third thing that we do very effectively at CRETECH is we have a meetup zone, and we track all of this, Ravi. So there are 10,000 meetings that have taken place over the last 2 days. So whether it's people looking for jobs, people raising money, people showcasing their technology, the meetup part is really, really intense and successful. So I think what we try and do is more sort of a state of the marketplace at the shows. Like, let's take a breather, let's step back, let's really kind of at a very high level talk about progress and where we are, where we're going, and then at a micro level, let's transact. And that's what we're trying to do. That's the vision of the shows.
Excellent. I'd also like to know from you, what are the buying behavior of the buyers? Okay, so there are the buyers and the sellers, right? So do the buyers, do they have dedicated budget every year to allocate on disruptive technologies, or do not have a budget? Is it random? Is it ad hoc? Or is there a sustained focus that a certain percentage of their annual revenues need to go on upgrading the technology prowess and stuff like that? Could you shed some light on their buying behavior? Investing it would be the right.
Yeah. Great. Well, I think if you just take a step back and you understand that some companies will have budgets, and they're going to want to whatever they're going to adopt on a technology front, that's got to be incorporated into that budget. Other companies, I think, are going to be more opportunistic. I think, though, what everybody's looking for is, again, because this is not an organically intuitive industry that embraces innovation. It's a B2B marketplace. It's massive, and it's very disciplined on how it invests. So I think if you take a step back and you understand what are they looking for, they're looking for tools, platforms, solutions, ideas, materials that solve problems. First and foremost is you've got to get into the conversation of what is the real estate company trying to solve? Is it that they've got extraordinary labor shortages at all their properties, and they need to use some sort of chatbot to schedule tours and meetings and close leases? Is it that they need to find off-market deals to acquire because they're sitting on too much dry powder and they're looking to acquire more? Is it that they're looking to attract and retain tenants in this environment in the office sector, using a platform that can help position a building as having, a greater attraction than the building across the street that doesn't have it? Is it that they're just looking to lower costs, operating costs? So, I think it's less about trying to fit into a budget as it is trying to solve a problem, is what I hear over and over again. And those that are solving problems are absolutely doing great business in the marketplace today. Those that are floundering might be because, they're not solving a solution. So I think that's the mentality and the mindset of the buyers today.